Starting the test for the vertical stabilizers, Lizo shouted out of the open cockpit as he increased the slider on his screen. "All good," a voice coming from under the shuttle answered a few seconds later. It belonged to his co-worker, an older mechanic called Hurton. Right now, the two of them were tasked with a basic checkup of the shuttle that would be given to the ambassador, who was scheduled to visit a few days from now. While they would, of course, arrive with their own ship, it was common courtesy to hand them a small shuttle they could use to get around during their stay. Lizo nodded, pulled the slider down again, and marked the stabilizers positive on his datapad. "All right, all that's left are the wing valves and the E-converter." "Ah, yes, about that," his co-worker said in a hesitant tone as he crawled out from under the shuttle. "You see, I kind of have a reservation. Could you do the rest alone?" Lizo looked up from his datapad. "You know we have to finish this today, right?" "I know, but my partner and I have been on the waiting list for half an eternity." "Then why didn't you say so earlier?" "I could have asked someone to fill in. I didn't know it myself. They had a cancellation. I just learned about my luck earlier today." "Look, how about this? On my way out, I'll see if someone else is still here who could help you. And if anything goes wrong, I'll take responsibility, okay?" Lizo didn't answer, simply because he didn't know what to say. Was this guy serious? Sure, Hurton had more experience than him, but wasn't he way too easygoing for someone in his position? This shuttle would be given to a foreign noble, a royal guest. If they overlooked a malfunction, they could very well dig their graves. Unfortunately, his co-workers seemed to understand his silence as approval. "Great. See you tomorrow." Still saying nothing, Lizo just sat in the open cockpit in silence. It took a while for him to pull himself together. The situation now was what it was, and someone had to finish the checkup. He knew that no one would come. The two of them were always the last ones at the workshop during this time of the day. So better get on with it. He climbed out of the cockpit and opened the front shutter of the hangar. If he was alone, he might as well get some fresh air. He then picked up the ladder, placed it next to the vessel, climbed up to the left wing, and opened the maintenance panel. A quick test showed that 3 of the 4 valves worked as intended. The last one, however, didn't. Lizo climbed back down to the cockpit, restarted the process, climbed up the wing again, and repeated the test. Again, the pressure readings were off. "Oh, first ones, please be just a bubble," he thought as he unscrewed the valve. With a loud hiss, the lid popped open and a spray of oil hit him in the chest. Well, wasn't that just great? But at the very least, it really had just been a bubble. Would definitely have spelled trouble if I hadn't found it, though. With a sigh, he pulled a rag from his belt and started to wipe up the mess. At least to some degree, the thing would get thoroughly cleaned afterward anyway, and most importantly, that would be done by someone else. He climbed back down, but as soon as he got one rung lower, he felt something oily under his foot, causing him to slip. The realization that some of the oil seemed to have dripped onto the ladder was the only thing he managed to do before it was too late. His hands were oily as well, so he lost his grip and fell backward. However, the impact on the floor didn't come. Before his body was even fully vertical, he could feel something touch his back. That something not only cushioned his fall, but actually caught him. "Are you okay?" an incredibly soft and gentle voice asked. When his vertigo subsided, Lizo realized that he was laying in the arms of an unfamiliar alien. After they both looked at each other for a moment, the alien turned him upright and put him back onto his feet. Only now did Lizo realize how small it was. It was only slightly above half his height and had a frail-looking frame. Yet somehow it had not only caught but also lifted his full weight, and that with seeming no effort at all. "You okay?" the alien repeated. Lizo finally realized that he hadn't said anything yet. "Oh, yeah, thank you. That could have ended badly. I'm Lizo, by the way." "Nadine," the alien repeated with an implied bow. But more importantly, why was she here? Lizo didn't know what race she belonged to, though that didn't mean much. He had only seen a handful of aliens in his life and never interacted with any of them. He didn't even know half the races in the Alliance, but he knew that if aliens came to Home, they were usually ambassadors or another kind of political guest. But a noble lady wouldn't come down here, even if the workshop was technically part of the Star Palace. Not to mention she had rushed to his help, But then again, she wore really expensive-looking clothes, although the top had an oil stain. No, wait, that stain was his fault, wasn't it? What are you working on? Just a basic checkup, nothing fancy. Mind if I take a look? Lizo cocked his head. Sure, but why? They just look so different than ours, so I was curious. I see. Suit yourself then. Just don't touch anything, please. Yeah, don't worry. The casual way she was addressing him while having no problems with the way he talked to her, she definitely wasn't a noble. She probably was an attendant of a guest. It wasn't unheard of for nobles to give their higher-ranking servants something to wear after all. Maybe she got down here because of an errand. It's nothing special, though, just a normal shuttle used for traveling on the planet. Nadine turned to him. Really? With the breaker jets, the ball thrusters, and the retractable wings, I would have guessed this was meant for space. Are you a mechanic as well? Lizo asked, surprised. Nadine smiled. No, but I want to become an engineer. My father already taught me some things. Not to mention the colony program required each of us to have at least basic knowledge in one relevant field of expertise. Colony? What? Well, you are half correct. The shuttle is theoretically capable to be used in space. It can't connect to a sling, though. Sling? Nadine asked with mild confusion. Yes, sling. You know, those things for ships that are too small for a jumper. Jumper? Seriously? How can someone who wants to be an engineer not know? Oh, sorry, that's just slang. I'm talking about the FTL drive. FTL? What does that stand for? Well, faster than light. What else? The skin around Nadine's eyes made some weird movements. How would FTL lead you to... Oh, okay. And today we learned. The translator can't do acronyms. FTL, so... She removed the translator from her neck. Faster than light, she slowly said with a funny accent, before putting it back on again. Are you learning our language? Lizo asked in surprise. Mastering a foreign language could take up a good portion of one's life after all. Just started. All I know is the alphabet, a handful of common phrases, and how to say my translator is broken. I see. Well, back on topic, the jumper is the thing that gives you access to the hyperlanes. The what? Oh, come on, seriously? How do I explain that? It's the thing you enter when you do FTL. Wow, is there a more stupid way to explain it, genius? Well, there was no helping it. He was a mechanic, not a scientist. Nadine seemed to have understood him, though. Oh, I get it. So you use some sort of hyperspace for FTL. Your ships don't use sub-light speed acceleration, then? That explains why you don't have... Ah, I shouldn't say that. Lizo's head perked up. Say what? No, believe me, you don't want to know that. What was so dangerous about him knowing a different form of FTL? But before he could ask that question, his glance fell onto his clock. Oh, first ones. I need to finish the checkup. Nadine's eyes became big. Ah, I'm sorry. Can I help you somehow? It's fine, don't. Actually, you can. Can you get into the cockpit? It was a bit high, so she would probably need a ladder. Or so he thought, until he saw the small alien hold onto the open frame, jump more than her own height, and land in front on the pilot seat. Also, did the shuttle's suspension just get lower? After being dumbfounded for a moment, Nadine's voice pulled him back into reality. Is it normal here to get around via shuttle? More or less, although commoners usually use public shuttles. Why, is it different on your world? Yes, we mainly use land-based vehicles and passenger drones. Using something with a combustion engine or jet thrusters for intraplanetary travel is highly frowned upon, and in some places, downright illegal. Anyway, what do you want me to do? He leaned into the cockpit and pointed to the console screen. When I tell you, push that slider up. He went to the back of the shuttle, opened another maintenance panel, and wired his data pad to the E-converter. Okay, give me half power. The converter started. Everything looked good so far. Now full! The noise from the converter got louder, but the numbers all showed what they were supposed to. Perfect! You can turn it off! As he got back to the front, Nadine jumped out of the cockpit and landed with a heavy thud. That completely betrayed her small frame. Well, thanks for... Lady Nadine? A female voice interrupted him. Outside of the hangar stood a woman wearing the sash of the palace maids. Her Highness is asking for you. Guess my stroll went a bit out of hand, huh? I'm coming, Mifa? Mita. Right, sorry. Don't be. On the contrary, the others and I are honored that you are trying to learn all our names. Nadine's face got slightly redder in color before she left. After she was gone, the maid turned to him. And what do you think you are doing, mechanic? Just the checkup I was told to do? Why? Wait, did she just say the princess wanted to talk to Nadine? She stepped closer. The look on her face was professional, but her anger was obvious. Lady Nadine is a noble from a foreign planet, a royal guest, and was given clearance level 2. Unless the king and queen visit personally, she is second only to her highness herself. And you make her perform some menial labor? Are you out of your mind? Lizo's heart sank. So she really was a noble. But why was she so casual then? Damn you, Hurton. This wouldn't have happened if you had just stayed. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Didn't know? Even if you are just a mechanic, you are still technically working for the Star Palace, and thus Her Highness herself. It is your duty to know things like this. But she said she wanted. Her being nice to us does not elevate us to her rank. On the contrary, it is all the more reason to remember our place. She turned to leave. Do not step out of line like this again. It's embarrassing that I even have to say this.